The journey of perseverance. My family vacation was the last place I thought I would learn how to persevere. Spring of 2019, my family went on a 6-week trip around Europe. It began with delicious Swiss fondue, beautiful paintings in the Louvre, and the towering island of Mont Saint Michel. My dad's one request had been to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa, so we were now driving through the medieval streets of Pisa looking for a place to park. There was a group of 10 suspicious men directing people where to park and using walkie-talkies. My mom scanned the operation. "I get a bad feeling from all of this," she said. I felt that bad feeling too. My dad drove on and parked along an apartment complex. I soon forgot my worries as we walked to the tower. There's something special about seeing things in person. A picture can't truly express the beauty of architecture or the multitudes of people crowding around. It was comical watching people pretend to hold up an 849-year-old building. My family and I laughed merrily at our many failed attempts to get the perfect picture. After we had enough pictures to fill another leaning tower, we grabbed dinner and headed back to our car. "Can we race to the car, Dad?" I begged. He agreed, and we went flying down the street as fast as our feet would take us. There wasn't a worry in my mind as I caught up with my dad. Skidding to a stop, I turned to him. "That's not our car." "Yeah, it is," my dad responded with a worried tone. I was confused. That couldn't be our car. It had a sweatshirt hanging out a broken window. Then it hit me. It was our car. We had been robbed. My heart sank as my mom and sister caught up. No one had any words. Our rental car stood broken and empty in front of us. All of our suitcases and backpacks were gone. Glass was sprayed all over the back seat and street. A young woman and her dad, who lived in the apartment above, walked over to help. They tried to talk to my parents but didn't speak English. Eventually, words got through due to my sister speaking French and my dad's translation app. Although no words were getting through my brain, the reality of the world was hitting my 13-year-old self like a ton of bricks. I knew we lived in a world where people got robbed. I just never thought that person would be me. After a crazed attempt to call the police, my dad turned to us. The police officer said to come to him. I saw in that moment how calm my dad was. I realized this wasn't the first time he had been robbed. "We can't drive the car. There's broken glass all over the back seat," I said in a voice I barely recognized as my own. Fear gripped my throat and refused to let go. "It'll be okay." My dad came over and hugged me. "We will brush it out and lay down my jacket." There it was again, that calm perseverance in his voice that I could not imagine possessing under the circumstances. Sarah and I climbed into the back seat, trying not to get cut by the glass. My dad put in the directions and started driving. "I don't get why they would go after our car," Sarah exclaimed. "We were parked directly under a security camera." We all sat in a stunned silence. The rumbling of the car engine and the occasional directions were the only sound. It was eerie. The whole city seemed quiet to me. Finally, we arrived at the police station, though there wasn't much to it. We walked in and my dad told us to go sit in the other room while he handled talking to the police officer. A few minutes later, he came in with 4 pieces of paper. Handing us each one, he said, "Write down everything that was stolen." We stared at my dad as if he had 3 heads. "Everything?" we questioned. "Everything," my dad answered. By the time I was done, I couldn't feel my hand. We finished filing the paperwork and headed to the car. "I don't understand why they aren't going to do anything," I said as Sarah and I climbed into our now empty car. "Yeah, couldn't they take the sweatshirt and get DNA off it?" Sarah questioned. My dad laughed, saying, "This isn't exactly Criminal Minds." We started the hour-and-a-half drive to Florence, wind swirling through the broken window. Groggily, I walked to the kitchen the next morning in search of food. As I sat down next to Sarah, my parents came in and joined. "If you want to go home, you can," my dad said. "No one would blame us for leaving. Last night was scary," my mom added. No one would blame us, I thought, but leaving didn't feel right. In that moment, I realized how important it was to me that we continued. Leaving felt like the robbers won, and I didn't want that. They could take all my belongings, but they couldn't take the next 4 weeks of our vacation from me. Sitting around that table, my family made the conscious choice to persevere and continue with a positive attitude. We spent the next few days getting new clothes and toiletries. After we were done, it was time to start having fun again. We became regulars at a bakery, explored the Duomo, and wandered around the Uffizi. After Florence, we continued on to Rome. Then we explored Venice, Austria, and Germany. Those last 4 weeks, I learned how little physical things matter, how much family matters, and how perseverance comes easier with a good attitude.